Howdy, 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 everybody. So, hello. We are here at Sebring in the GTs, and we will be at Grand Oak later in the touring cars. This is week 3 of the Shake and Bake Racing Club multi-challenge series at, on Forza Motorsport. As you can see, we are here at Sebring, as I've already mentioned, and the drivers will be handling their jobs. Two different racetracks, two very different racetracks. This place very fast. Later in the touring cars, it will be the somewhat slower, much more curvier, small club circuit at Grand Oak. But anyways, first off, to set you up for the first race tonight, we will show you a lap around Sebring in a GT car, namely my Shake and Bake Corvette here. Alright, so here we are at Sebring, making a lap around here in the GT car. Across the start-finish line, I'm going to get over to the right for the first left-hander of the racetrack, which is a very difficult corner, surprisingly difficult. Want to get right up against the wall, don't want to get it wrong, don't want to go wide there and end up in the dirt. Swing over just a little bit to make this kink, so you can get to the braking zone here. This little kink is really difficult to set up for. Now you want to late apex this left-hander so that you can maximize your speed down this kinked up straightaway here. Full throttle all the way down into the first true hard braking zone of the racetrack. Want to get right up against the curbing on the right side. Straighten this part out as much as you can. Now you want to stay off the curbs if possible while getting as close as you can to them. The next hard braking zone. You can miss a little bit and still make decent speed. A little double apex left-hander that you might need to breathe the throttle for on old tires. Set up for another right-hander here that's really easy to miss, really easy to go wide right here. Now we're in a lot of pavement. You got to follow the blue rumble strips around to make it. Set yourself up for this right-hander right here. It's a little bit slower than you think it will. Now I want to cut that corner and swing out to the left as much as you can, so you can set yourself up for that corner and this long, long straightaway down the runway. This will be the fastest part of the racetrack. Now to set yourself up, you want to go in a lot deeper than you think you'd have to. Swing it out wide, don't cut too close or else you'll get a course cutting penalty. Play with the throttle, get up the corner, you're headed to the start-finish line here at Sebring. Alrighty, so that is the challenge these drivers are going to have to face today. Looking at 13 laps total, 12 racing and 1 pace lap at the beginning of this event. We are almost halfway through the practice/qualifying session. Drivers in the race will probably be looking to definitely take the medium tires. The medium tires themselves seem to be showing a fair amount of wear toward the end of the race, so the softs are pretty much completely and totally out of play in this one. So that's about the first time that's happened all season long. Some of these drivers have tried the softs. Hasn't really worked out for them, but it's definitely going to be avoided here tonight. I think everyone is going to be on the medium tires. I don't think anyone's going to try the hard. The tire wear does not kick in quite quick enough, quite early enough. It's a little too late for the hards to show any sort of advantage during this race. So anyways, let's see if we can check in on what is happening in qualifying here. I was hoping that with the spectate clicked it would actually work, but unfortunately things are still a little bit ridiculous, but we can check in and see who is on the pole. It is currently Ferrari Nut with a 2:03.642. How many drivers have taken the opportunity to put down a lap so far? Only 5 different drivers have made a lap, with very few minutes remaining on the timer. We're sitting here at the end of the very long straightaway that does make up the sort of, I guess technically it's called the backstretch here at Sebring. The longest part of the racetrack and the fastest. And it leads to one of the corners that is the easiest to screw up. All right, 10 different drivers have made a lap now. LBZ is currently at 2:07. So there's a 4-second difference here between our pole sitters, and also Skyline 4 has usurped Ferrari Nut's position at the provisional pole. All right, let's see.
Currently P13 after qualifying.
Let's see. There we go. We can look at the current. Skyline, Ferrari Nut, Stanton Drums, Leafs Justin currently your top 4. JC, Jacob, Gary from Canada, and another lap put down. Dion for Dub moving into 4th position. That is a solid qualifying effort out of him. Let's see. As you can see, this is currently the leaderboard. 1.5 minutes remaining in practice, so if you have not started a race, you're probably not going to make it around. Or started a lap, I should say. Skyline with a 2:02.8. That is 0.8 faster than the next driver, nearly 0.8. Stanton Drums in 3rd, Dion 4Dub in 4th, Scarface 3D in 5th. Let's see. Leaf Justin moves up into the 4th position, but still a solid qualifying effort out of Dion 4Dub in the top 5. Scarface 6th, Frozen Toast 7th, JC has been moved down to 8th, Jacob in 9th, Gary from Canada in 10th, Legit in 11th, and Silver David is in 12th. LBZ in 13th with a 2:07.4. Alright, so here we go. Here we go, getting ready to go green here at Sebring. Look at all these cars out there. Hopefully they're still out there when they take off here in a second. Skyline 4 on the pole with a 2:02.872. Alongside him in row 1 is Ferrari Nut 94 with a 2:03.6. Stanton Drums 94 is in 3rd with a 2:03.944. Leafs Justin rolling off on the outside of row 2. He ran a 2:03.9. Dion 4Dub in 5th with a 2:04.5. Only a 10th back of him was Scarface 3D. He will be rolling off 6th. The inside of row 4 features Frozen Toes 24 with a 2:05.5. JC rolling off in P8 with a 2:05.8. Jacob X99 in 9th with a 206.1. Gary from Canada will roll out on the outside of row 5 with a 206.3. Legit 14 will be in 11th with a 207. Sober David in 12th with a 207.2. And Shotgun on the field will be LBZ81 with a 207.4. And that is your field tonight for the first leg of tonight's races. We'll see how this goes out. These guys are about to roll off here. Watching the little spinny wheel, and we'll see what survey says on being able to see all the cars out here. Still loading. Still efforting. We'd like to take this time to remind you that this is brought to you by Shake and Bake. And hey, look at that beautiful field of race cars in front of us. That's pretty nice. Alright. Driver's about to come out here for a pace lap. Turn all of our fun stuff on. Pace speed will be around 60 to 65 miles an hour, or approximately 100 kilometers per hour. So once again, it seems all of these drivers, I've seen one on hards. I believe Stanton Drums was attempting to make this on the hard tire. We'll see how that plays out. Everyone else is on the medium compound tire. Listening to these drivers talk about their tire wear and stuff already, so already cognizant on everyone's minds. That's going to be something that they are going to have to manage, because again, even the medium tire starts to give up around lap 10 of this race, and so that has been a huge factor in all 4 of the races so far this season, is cars starting to fall off right at the end, and both costing drivers some finishes and helping drivers who need that tire wear to go their way maximize their finish. There we go, we're about halfway through this pace lap. Go through the field here, if it didn't take forever. Ferrari in P2, Stanton Drums in 3rd, leave Cheston 4th. And those are going to be your front 2 rows here. We'll keep an eye on Skyline as they head off onto the back straight here. This is where they will start doubling up. Once again, these first corners going to be very difficult. It's very narrow after that first wide left-hander to start the lap. The next little complex of corners, very narrow, very tight, very difficult to get right. So we'll see if we see any contact. And here we go. It'll be on Skyline whenever they get past the start-finish line, or they get past the intro to pit road. And here we go, Skyline 4 taking off. They head down into turn 1, a relatively orderly start amongst everybody. A little bit of contact maybe in the back, but so far so good. A big mess coming down into this first little complex of corners here. This little right-hander, very difficult to get right. They're going to come down this long straightaway into the first hard braking zone. See what we can see here. Leafs Justin going a little wide back there. He is now side by side in a battle for third position with Stanton Drums. Let's go back to watch this as they go side by side. Hard braking. Stanton looks to the right. He's going to try to dive. Honestly, able to make that in the middle of the corner. Very weird, very nice job under braking there. But Leafs Justin able to fend him off. They're going to go into the right-hander. Leafs Justin feeling the pressure, but able to make the apex of that corner. A little bit shallow of an exit, but still plenty of speed. He's going to take off. Meanwhile, our two leaders, Skyland and Ferrari Nut, have pulled off into the sunset. Already amassed a 2-second lead on the rest of the pack. But meanwhile, Stanton Drums hounding Leafs Justin for that third position, that final podium spot. Meanwhile, Scarface 3D and Dion Ford Up all over each other. Side by side in the corner, Dion able to make that pass on Scarface. They will have completed the first lap. Meanwhile, Stanton and Leafs Justin side by side up here. Skyland and Ferrari Nut still nose to tail for the lead, but it's these two who are side by side going through the corner. One, Stanton not going to push him wide there, able to keep the car down. They're going to continue side by side into a very narrow part of the racetrack. Leafs Justin has no choice but to concede the spot. Move Stanton Drums up into the third position, and Leafs Justin back to fourth. This part of the field is starting to spread out just a tiny bit. Now JC with a huge break, gets in there super deep, almost gets into Dion Ford Up, but is able to get it slowed down quickly enough. He will make that pass to move into the sixth position, able to keep off the rear bumper to Dion Ford Up to not create an issue. Back here we have Jacob X99 trying to hold off Legit. That is for the 8th position. It's this point of the race when these guys will be feeling the best. The cars will be handling the best they have. The tires will be good and cooled, or warmed up, or they'll have plenty of grip in them. And here in about 7-8 laps, that's when the tire wear will start to affect these cars, and they'll be getting them to get a little bit difficult to handle. So far right now, this is the closest battle on the track between Jacob X99 and Legit, separated by a half a second here. The field already experiencing a pretty hefty amount of separation. Only 4 laps into this race. Up front, Skyland still managing to hold that gap over Ferrari Nut 94 in the Porsche. Ferrari Nut in the Viper, the only driver in that Viper. Skyland holding a pretty wheel. That Porsche looking very, very sporty this week here in Sebring. Goes a little bit wide there, misses the apex of the corner, but still able to make good speed. Ferrari Nut wiggles a little bit going through the apex. Ferrari able to make up a little bit of ground under braking, but Skyland is looking very, very stable off of the corners. Meanwhile, that Viper very, very squirrely coming off of each corner. Very squirrely. You can definitely tell he is having to work that throttle here. Let's see. Look on the telemetry here. See what kind of issues this Viper is dealing with at the moment. Runs a little bit wide. Doesn't swing out for this final corner as much as you'd probably like to see. But still, even with the issues, while he is watching Skyland start slowly pull away, they are both putting a pretty hefty gap on Stanton Drums, while Leaf Justin has been able to close that gap back and put a battle up, but he's not able to outbreak him. Gonna look to the inside. Stanton gonna close that off, slam the door through the center of the last hairpin. Here we go. Into turn one, Leaf Justin not able to outbreak him, but Stanton a little bit wide on the entry. Not gonna hurt him though. Let's watch this battle. These two really tight on each other. Meanwhile, there are 4 drivers under a blanket back here for the 8th position, all over each other. Legit, Scarface, Jacob, and Sober David all going to go into this hard-breaking right-hander on top of each other. We'll see if they're able to make it out of here alive. A solid drive by all of these drivers, giving each other room. I don't even know if anyone put a tire in the dirt. That was very impressive out of these guys. Scarface losing several positions in that exchange, falling all the way back to 10th. David up to 9th. Legit and Jacob up to 7th and 8th, respectively. Oh, we're losing it. Getting a little bit loose under braking there was Jacob X99. Not what you want to see. He made up some ground earlier, but loses all of that. Meanwhile, behind them, Gary from Canada and Frozen Toes 24 are in a battle with each other. All these drivers in a line headed down the old airfield. This is an excellent battle for that 7th through about 12th position. All of them on top of each other. Meanwhile, the closest battle at the front. Meanwhile, actually, as I say that, Legit and Sober David in a battle with each other. David gonna move up to that 7th spot. A little bit wide there, able to keep it going. Oh, a little bit of a bump, a little bit of contact. They pinch each other a little bit. Legit gonna hold on to it. Almost goes for a spin. Legit got in there just a little bit hard, gave David a tap, and David did his best to slam the door, put Legit on the curb. That upset his car enough. David was able to get away. No harm, no foul, both going straight. Move David up into the 7th spot. Legit back to 8th. Meanwhile, up here in the top 4, Leafs Justin has managed to get around Stanton Drums. He's up to 3rd, Stanton back to 4th. Going through the deceptively fast section of racetrack through here, through the old airfield. Oh, Stanton going a little bit wide there. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, especially down this long straight where you want to maximize that exit speed. And here we are at about the halfway mark of this race. Getting close here. Yep, there we go. We clicked over to lap 7, so we are halfway through this race. Let's see what kind of, no, we don't want to do that. Let's see what kind of, tire wear and such we're looking at here. So far, all the tires look good. No damage on this Porsche. No damage on the Viper of Ferrari Nut. So far, all of these cars looking clean and the tires holding in there nicely. So it seems very, very easy to believe that no one went crazy and tried the softs. All these drivers should be on the mediums. Aside from Stanton Drums 94, who has held strong being on those hard tires. The speed he's been able to put up against these other drivers with that deficit in grip so far. Very impressive, and really, if he can hold on, I think by that lap 11 or 12 mark, he should be much quicker than the BMW of Leafs Justin. This is currently your closest battle on the racetrack between Leafs Justin and Stanton Drums. A couple of Beamers going around the racetrack. Cutting that corner pretty heftily there. No harm, no foul. No penalty from the stewards on that one. Stanton able to keep touch with Leaf Justin, and again, as the laps tick down, he's going that grip advantage is going to start to swing in his favor. I can't believe the gap they have been able to put on the rest of the field. Dion for Dub having a very solid race here in the 5th spot, running all alone here. He's 6 seconds behind Stanton, 2.5 ahead of JC, although that gap seems to be shrinking a tiny bit. Let's go back here to Scarface 3D, who has Frozen Toast 24 and LBZ all over him, and you can see that engine running a little bit sour on the Corvette here. Frozen Toast all over his rear bumper. Let's see. This is an issue that she has complained about a lot in practice, is engine wear, and as you can see, 2.3% damage. Not as much as Scarface, but more than we've seen from those drivers out in the lead. Oh, and Scarface misses the corner. That's going to allow both Frozen and LBZ to go around. So Scarface back to shotgun on the field. Frozen up to 11th, LBZ up to 12th. Now Frozen setting her sights on Gary from Canada, who should be really close to her right now. Excuse me, that is a 3-second gap from Gary to Frozen. Gary 3/10 back from Jacob. That battle heating up between a couple of Corvettes. The stock paint scheme on the Corvette of Jacob, whereas as Gary has a faux Intimidator scheme on his car. Gary all over his rear bumper, now going to his left side. This is a really quick part of the racetrack. Gonna have to set up. Gary probably off the throttle there, going over the curbs, but he was able to get it broken down, get the car slowed down, able to pull the crossover, and he will complete the pass over Jacob X99. So move Gary up to 9th, Jacob back into the 10th spot. Meanwhile, up here in this battle for 3rd, Stanton Drums continues to lurk behind Leaf Justin, and again, those two on alternate tire strategies. Justin on the medium, Stanton, I believe the only driver in the field on the hard compound tire. These drivers are complaining about around that 10-11 lap mark is when the tires start to go. So that's when you expect that advantage to flip over Stanton's way, and with the speed he has shown, that will be a pretty big advantage, a pretty marked advantage, and I imagine he'll be able to make quick work of the driver in front. Meanwhile, a mistake has happened from Gary, and he has allowed Jacob back around. So this battle for ninth has once again swapped and continues to be heated. But you can see Gary from Canada starting to lose some tire. He might be on those soft tires, judging by the tire wear that he currently has. You can see Justin's tires still in solid shape. All white showing up. Looking at Ferrari Nut and Skylin up here. Both of them looking the same. Dion running all by himself. Just a smidge of engine damage. 0.3% on his machine. Not enough to hold him back. Any of the slight list goes off just a little bit. In his Hello Kitty machine. That black and pink, beautiful car rolling down the airfield here. Battle for 11th. Frozen toes on the rear bumper of LBZ81 as they work their way through. And an issue for LBZ. Went to the wrong driver there. LBZ nose it into the wall, hearing over the radio that he was distracted by a person in the room. Real life problems that drivers never have to deal with. Right there. That ended up with him nose first in the wall in the final corner. That moves him back to last 4.5 seconds back of the closest racer. Meanwhile, there's a good battle forming here between Jacob and Legit. Those two working on each other really hard. Legit not able to outbrake Jacob. Jacob tried to pinch him, uses the dirt just a little bit. Those two beating and banging. Legit able to hang on to that position, but Jacob definitely looking a little quicker here. Legit's tires still looking good, but a little bit of engine damage on that car. That's the thing, these machines, they don't like to be downshifted too early. They're pretty finicky with throttle input and shifting and such, and seem to be pretty easy to damage if you get just a little bit wrong going through the gears. But through a pretty speedy portion of the racetrack, Legit has been able to leg out a tiny gap over Jacob as Jacob goes really wide behind him. That allows Gary to form a charge here. Gary with his tires, which are starting to give up on him just a little bit. You can see the all-orange there, but still able to put up some pretty decent lap time compared to everyone around him as he is still battling Jacob. Jacob gonna go low. It looks like Gary giving him some bump draft down the straightaway here. Gary a little bit wide, and right there is where the tires are really gonna hate you. But still putting up some pretty good speed, able to put up a fight, holding on to that 10th position, trying to take 9th away as he is able to outbrake Jacob going into the first corner. All over his bumper, but such a difficult place to try to set up a pass. Really not a passing zone to be found through this series of turns. And you can see it, Gary really fighting this car now. It's going to be real difficult for him to be able to continue to mount this charge that he's attempting to mount. Meanwhile, up here in the 3rd position, leaves Justin able to maintain that gap over Stanton Drums. The tires still looking pretty fairly nice. Still all white on the telemetry board there. Let's check in with our leader here as we are getting really close to taking 2 laps to go. Just a really Just and ironically, I hear on the radio him mentioning that I should not be focusing on him because it would be very boring. But here I am on him as he has a 4.5-second lead over Ferrari Nut. That's the gap right there. Skyland could afford to make a couple of mistakes here and still be able to hold off Ferrari Nut. Ferrari Nut and the Viper going into turn 1. Oh, we've had an issue with Gary. Yeah, the tire wear starting to hurt him as Frozen Toe's able to make that pass. He is back to 11th. Move Frozen into the top 10 here. Not the finish she was looking for, not the run she's been looking for, but a pretty solid run here. All things considered, considering how much she was hating her speed earlier in the week. Hello. So far, this is the closest fight on the racetrack amongst the top half of the field. Stanton Drum's trying to make a charge. You can see his left front starting to give up just a little bit on his race car. Leafs Justin, both of his fronts are starting to wear down a little bit, but he's been able to keep up this gap. So while I thought the tire wear would swing in Stanton's favor, it seemed to do the opposite, as Leaf Justin maybe a little more experience, got a little more practice on some worn tires, helping his speed, but he has legged out a gap over Stanton. Stanton's going to have to mount a charge here as they're getting close to taking the white flag. No other gap right now within a second, so this is the most meaningful battle on the racetrack. White flag is out, and here we are on Skyland. While no one else is within a second, let's check out our leader. Just working his way through these corners, looking nice and smooth. Not even really needing any of the racetrack. All of his tires still looking really good. Just a dominating performance, scoring the pole. Able to hold off a somewhat early charge from Ferrari Nut, and then asserting his dominance and pulling out a 3.6 seconds lead. Let's see where we're not quite to the end of the lap. Let's watch Legit and Jacob, those two really close together. Within a tenth. Oh, that car is hurt. That he has hit something, and he has hit something mighty heavily. And so that would be why he is starting to hemorrhage lap time, hemorrhage track position, as that car really beat up. Jacob up into that 8th spot, but 9 seconds back of Sober David. Stanton continuing to try to make a charge here on Leafs Justin, but just not enough time. He's going to need a pretty serious mistake out of that bright orange BMW. But here comes Skyland 4. Here comes the Porsche as he will come off the final corner. He will win the first of 2 races tonight. Does a little tribute to everybody, waving it back and forth. He will finish in the lead. Ferrari Nut will come home in the 2nd position. Leaf Justin 24 will be in 3rd. Stanton Drums will fall back to 4th. Dion for a dub on some relatively aged tires. Going to be able to hold off JC and finish in the 5th position. JC 6th. Sober David will come across the line in the 7th position. Jacob X99 will be in the 8th position. Legit will manage to leg his wounded machine across the line in 9th, holding off Frozen Toes for that spot. She comes home 10th. Let's see, LBZ going to come home in the 11th position as the rest of these drivers, with a pretty hefty gap between all of them. Gary from Canada, his tires absolutely screaming. He will come home behind Scarface 3D, who finishes 12th, Gary 13th. And that is your finishing order here at Sebring. Skyland, Ferrari, Nutleaf, Justin, your podium in the first race of the night. Very surprised to see that the hard tires did not have more of an advantage there, and they even seemed to wear pretty equally with Justin's mediums. That was probably the biggest surprise of the race. Alright. We'll see what we can get here out of our top finishers. Do.
Okay then.
I know that this is a video game, but I'm gonna pretend that Porsche USA and BAF Motorsports gave me a heck of a hot rod today, because boy oh boy did this car just carry me through that. This track apparently suits this thing really well, and I was not expecting that. I thought it was gonna be a handful. It was quite fun. It's not very often that I get to pull away from Ferrari Nut like that, so I'm gonna revel in that. I have not touched this track or this car. I've made it a point to not practice for this league because I jumped in and it was competent enough that if I practice, I just stress myself out and put more pressure on myself, and I don't enjoy it as much. So if I lose, I lose. This car's great, so I've been doing pretty good, and I enjoy it more. So I'm having more fun.
Yeah, I mean, fast lap wise, we were, cigarette paper time between time. So the pace was obviously there. I think just the Porsche here just has something the Viper doesn't. We just really leaped away from everybody at the start, and I was kind of able to hang with Chris a little bit and just not really make any inroads. There were a few laps I made some time, and just then, I'd blow a corner here and there just because this car is a little unpredictable at times with what it's going to do when you go into a corner. But yeah, just absolutely was thrashing this number 93 Viper through these corners and trying to just keep as much speed on the straights, because that's where the Porsche is strongest, is in a straight line. That thing is unreal in a straight line. I'd gain back on him through the top section of the track and through the first few corners, and then I would just see that thing start yarding me, and that's a little demoralizing. So Chris can enjoy his reveling and pulling away this week. I haven't looked at the schedule enough to know where we're going next time, but let's just put it this way: I'm gonna be after it next week.
Well, that is Ferrari 94, who'll be getting after it next week. Got after it tonight to a P2 finish. Leafs Justin 24 came home in third. Got to watch them pull away. Had a mirror full of Stanton the entire race. talk about your night holding off your fellow BMW driver and coming home in that third position.
Yeah, basically, as you said, had to deal with Stanton the entire race from start to finish. Once we got fighting at the start, those two just drove away. So um, once I finally, after I don't even know how many laps, got clear of Stanton, still had him in my mirror the entire race, but those two were kind of too far gone to really have a chance. So even when I got into a rhythm and was running some of like the best laps that I have the whole week, they were like the time to the leader, I was still getting gaps. So I think I got as much out of the race as I probably could have gotten out of the race. So content.
That is Leaf Justin, who is content with his race, got everything he could out of it, coming home in the third spot. Those are your top three finishers here in the first race of the night in the GTs at Sebring. We're about to move over to the touring cars at Grand Oak, I believe, is the racetrack. Congrats to those guys, and we'll get back on the track here in a minute.
Yeah, well,
Alrighty, so those are the drivers. James Bryan, I will put a link to our club's Discord here in a minute whenever I get a shot. So if you stick around for a little bit, we'll do that, and then I'll let you know who to get a hold of, the admins for this league. But anyways, time to get this upcoming race set up here as soon as we can. Alright. Let's set this bad boy up here. Alright. There we go. I was indeed able to see everybody for once. It was nice. Alright. Alright, so here we are at Grand Oak. Very fun racetrack, very difficult to pass. It's going to be tough for these drivers to find their way around each other. Tire strategy is actually going to be meaningful, especially given that it's difficult to make passes. Mathematically, the softs are the way to go, but the mediums run a really strong pace, so if you qualify well, you might be difficult to pass, and you might have the tire advantage toward the end of this race. But let's see what challenges they're working with. So we show you a lap around Grand Oak. Alrighty, here we are at Grand Oak Raceway, Club Circuit. Sweeping left-hander, really easy to miss. Use all the racetrack you can as you have another sweeping left-hander, a lot faster than you feel like it should be, really easy to underdrive. Get all the way back over to the left for a hard right-hander that could be really easy to miss. Get to the left side. Maybe want to diamond this corner a little bit because you've got to hug that left side on exit to be set up for the next corner. Hard right-hander. A lot of banking to give you a lot more speed than you feel like you should have through these turns. Another long left-hander. Easy to overdrive the exit of this one. When I get it right out to the rumble strips. Full throttle all the way. Maybe on old tires you'll have to feather it here, but should be full throttle. And you're heading back to the start-finish line here at Grand Oak. That's a lap. Alright, that is a lap around this track. Again, a lot of banked corners are a little faster than you think they should be. But they're also really tight, and they flow together in a way that makes it very difficult to pull off a pass. And there is a link to our club's Discord for anyone that happens upon it. Again, very disappointing that we can't get into spectate mode for qualifying. So let's check out our qualifying time so far here. Gary from Canada with the only time on the board. Now Legit has a time as well. So 58.8 is so far the benchmark. Also, these times will be very close because that's about what I've seen in practice. I think 57s or so are about the high point. Sober David running a 59.3. So Gary putting down a pretty solid lap here to start it all off. I imagine probably a mid 57, maybe even a low 57 will be where the pole time is. I don't think we'll see a 56, but it's possible. Let's get out of here and post up in probably the final corner. Watch these guys come out of, go down the straight. Monitor the pole time from there. Oh, I cannot see. There we go. So Sober David has taken, this is the practice time is what this is, isn't it? So I am in the wrong thing. Ah, what do you know? Oopsie. No. Okay, it's supposedly qualifying. Frozen Toes with a 57.7. Legit with a 59.1. Those are your top three at the moment. Get back out and monitor the times. Yep, you can see Ferrari Nut with a 57.7, Gary with a 58.8, Sober David with a 58.9, Legit with a 59.1. Those are your four times. It's looking like a low 57 definitely going to be in play. We'll have to see what Skyline, Ferrari Nut are able to put down. Those two very, very experienced in running touring cars on this this platform on Forza games. Very quick in this type of car. LBZ so far with a dirty 59.086. That is shotgun on the field. Frozen Toes continues to have that pole time by nearly a half a second over JC. Skyline with a 58.1. We'll see if he's able to improve on that time. Skylin able to improve his lap time, but not his position. He's a 58.070. He is in second. 57.7, a very strong time out of Frozen Toes. JC has been a menace in these cars. I think, yeah, he has won each of our first 2 races in the touring car this season. Really strong in this type of race car with a 58.0. Got some ghost people glitching out in the background. Still a somewhat, just about a quarter-second gap to second place, so some of these guys are going to need to find some speed if they are going to take that pole position away from Frozen Toes. But still some heavy hitters out there yet to put a lap down. Stanton Drums, Ferrari Nut, Leaf Justin, Dion. Scarface as well has not put a lap time on the board. So still 5 drivers looking to put it on the pole. Let's see Scarface with a nice lap moving up into the 3rd position. He'll have another attempt, and Leaf Justin knocks Frozen Toes off the pole with a 57.4. Very strong lap time out of him. Ferrari Nut with a 57.8. He'll be looking to improve on that on his 2nd lap. So there we go. 3 good lap times to 3 top 5 lap times put in there at the very last minute. Dion for Dub also moving up there. So that's 4 top 6 laps put in there at the last minute. Dion coming off of his P5 finish in the G2 race, looking to back that up with a currently provisional P4 starting spot with a minute left here in qualifying. Right now, that's what we're looking at. It looks like Leaf Justin 24 is going... No! At the last minute, Ferrari Nut with a 4.13. By 26 thousandths of a second, he is able to take the pole away from Leaf Justin. Stanton in P12. He is not going to be able to put another lap down. We had a 58.2, but it is dirty, so that is going to put it to the back. That time's going to be, I guess, deleted, as the F1 announcers would say. Otherwise, he would have been P8. So kind of surprising to see Skylin back in 7th, but some strong laps. Alright, on the pole. Let's see. I see 7 here. Let's see. We see Ferrari Nut 94 on the pole. And then I have Frozen Toes, so we are missing several drivers here. So we have a slight glitch here in the matrix. So that is your supposed qualifying here, but it seems But unfortunately, another glitch here on Forza Motorsport is we aren't able to see the entire field in the grid there, but we know everyone's starting at this point. Doop doo doo doop doo. We're currently waiting for cars here. We'll see if this gets loaded in or not. And if it does not, then it does not. Well. Uh-oh. Here we go. Alright, here and we are going to restart this. I'm assuming I just missed a incredible wreck here. Okay. Create event. Okay, so a little glitch at the start of that one. Doggone it, Forza. But we're going to continue efforting the start of this thing. Alright, y'all. We might have this figured out. We're going to have to manually get an order from qualifying that we just had, from the qualifying session we just had. We're just waiting on one driver to... Is everyone readied up? Stanton! Stanton! Okay. Start race. Alright. So, it is going to be a pace lap. Yep. Am I going to do the countdown? Oh god, okay, so that's our situation here. So that's a situation. We had an issue in qualifying, moving from qualifying to the race, where not everyone loaded in. And so we are going to have to... Oh. But here we go. This is your field. This is not the order they will be starting in, but just so you can see all of the different drivers. The Kevin Harvick machine is Gary from Canada. Stanton in his very red car. Jacob in the basic Mercedes. Reinut in the Hyundai. Dion for Dub in the Audi. Leaf Shustin in an Audi as well. JC rolling off in, I believe that's an Audi. LBZ in a Mercedes, a very, very green Mercedes. And that is the entire field here, as we're about to roll off. They will use this pace lap to get into the order from qualifying. And then we will be able to get racing. Alright, I'm gonna load here. Alright, so, oh, they're trying to figure all this out. This is actually going to be fun to watch. Let's see. Alright, here they all go. Again, this is going to be an 18-lap race. These drivers are going to come around and try their best to slip into a grid spot on the line. This is a very, very difficult racetrack to make passes on. So, and I'm going to have to give the countdown, so I'm going to have to give this a little introduction as short as possible. Alright, there we should be going here. I had to give the command, which is amazing. Ferrari Nut takes off with a really, really big lead. Let's see. Ferrari Nut working his way through the S's, through the start of the S's anyway. Gonna have to wrap that corner to set up for the next turn. Nice and orderly here. Ferrari in first, Leafs Justin in second, Dion in third, JC fourth, Frozen Toes in fifth. Everything starting to straighten out already, and that's kind of what I've seen in the practices. Let's look back on the field here from in front of Ferrari Nut. As you can see, very, very orderly through most of the field. There is a pretty good battle here for the 7th spot, or the 8th spot, I should say, between Legit and Scarface. They head off into turn 1 side by side. Now, look at that up there, the top 5 all on top of each other. It looks like Dion getting a little bit squirrely, a little bit low in the dirt. He is side by side with the Oreo machine of JC. A little bit of contact there, but they both make it through it. JC giving Dion some room there. He's going to have to get back to the left, but move JC up into the 3rd position. JC, our winner of the first 2 touring car races in this league so far this season. And this is what we're going to expect to see here, is a lot of single file, a lot of drivers trying to stick their nose in where it might or might not belong, but that's going to be pretty much the only way to make a pass, as even this long straightaway doesn't really give you a good break, a good passing zone at the end of it because of how long and sweeping and wide and open it is. Going for a dub into the dirt there, really got squirrely. He's going to keep it low, but Frozen going to go even lower. Going to be able to make that pass around the outside. Dion going to try to outbrake her into the corner. able to keep it off the grass that time. Maybe a little bit of contact side by side through the left-hander. Frozen going to be able to make that clearance there to get in front of Dion. Take the preferred line. Meanwhile, side by side, nearly for the lead, Leafs Justin all over the rear bumper of Ferrari Nut. This is one thing that should have been checked beforehand, is what tire strategy are all these drivers on. A lot of them are going to opt to do the softs. The softs are going to be mathematically quicker over the entire time of the lap, but they do experience some pretty severe fall off in the final 2 or 3 laps. And that's an opportunity, if you're able to maintain track position, for the medium compound tire to be able to hold on. Leafs Justin able to take the lead there with a nice crossover. Here comes Ferrari Nut. He's going to be on the outside. He's going to try to make the cross here, but Leafs Justin able to stay clear, get the preferred line into the corner. Ferrari going to try to stick his nose to the right rear. A little bit of contact. Leafs Justin going to try to run him a little bit low, but not going to be able to pull it off. Is Ferrari Nut. Ferrari on his bumper. A lot of contact. Ferrari now going a little wide. You're going to try to see if he can set up that cross, but not going to be able to pull it over. The car will not turn for him. That's going to allow JC to move along the inside here. They're going to be side by side through this incredibly quick kink. Some contact there. Ferrari opting to hit everything along the way. JC getting right to his left rear. He's going to dive it in there, try to make that pass. He's going to hold it low, a little bit slower, but Ferrari not able to perform the cross. Had to slow down a little more than he wanted to. Now Frozen Toes looking on the inside. I believe Ferrari Nut might be on those medium tires. And I think that if you did qualify well, I think that might be the way to go. You can hold on to that track position, hold off those drivers. I think that's the way to go, but Leaf Justin and JC starting to pull away here. Frozen Toes now trying to mount yet another charge. Let's see. Meanwhile, back here, Jacob and Legit all over each other for this 7th spot. You can see the long line of cars. A little bit of a battle going on for the lead. A little bit of a battle going on for 3rd. 2 battles going on up here in amongst the podium. Leafs Justin able to hang on. Ferrari and Frozen getting a little bit scrolled up. That's going to hurt Frozen the most. Dion now looking to her inside. Dion headed really shoving it in there from a far way back. Tried to move Ferrari Nut out of the way. Ferrari having none of it. Now a little bit more contact between the 2 purple and black cars. Meanwhile, JC giving a little bumper tag to Leafs Justin up ahead of these 2. Some really, really good battles here amongst the top 7. The top 2 are getting ahead of everybody else. They seem to be on that same tire strategy, and that's going to be the key. If they can get enough of a distance between themselves and Ferrari Nut, will they be able to hang on? It really seems like Ferrari is on that medium tire strategy. Talking with Justin, he seemed to think that the softs were the way to go. It seems like JC, given his pace, is thinking the exact same thing. Will that tire wear come into play quicker than they want? Will Ferrari be able to hold on to enough track position to be able to take advantage of when that grip level crosses back over? You can see going wide back there. Once again, under fire from Dion for dub. JC all over the rear bumper of Leafs Justin. And again, the biggest issue with this track, it is so difficult to complete a pass, and you can tell that difficulty rearing its head. Everybody right now stuck behind Ferrari Nut. Leafs Justin gives a little bit of a blocking motion toward JC, but not going to be able to do anything with it. JC misses the apex of the corner. Luckily, Justin goes a little wide as well. As they head to the second part of this double apex left-hander. JC using as much of the exit as he can, getting back over to the left, move him into the lead. He takes the lead from Leafs Justin 24. Justin now a car length back. That battle has allowed Ferrari Nut to pull in a little bit closer on those 2. Meanwhile, there is an absolute dogfight for this 4th spot. Just an absolute slobber knocker between Frozen Toes, Dion for Dub, and Skyland. Maybe a little bit of contact there between those two. Skyland gonna clear himself. Dion gonna have no choice but to give a little bit of a burp to the throttle. That'll allow Skyland to move up into the 5th position. Goes a tiny bit wide there. No foul there, I don't believe. A little bit wide through the first part of that. Oh, and he goes off into the dirt. He's going to be able to hold on to it, but that's really going to slow him down. It looked like Dion had to slow down as well to make sure he didn't hit him. Maybe overreacted to that big slide, and I don't blame him one bit. Skyland 4 able to hold on to the 5th position there, but lost a fair amount of ground to Frozen, who has now once again set her sights on Ferrari Nut up ahead of her. JC continuing to extend his advantage over Leaves Justin, while Ferrari Nut doing his best to stay in touch with those top 2 drivers while holding off Frozen, Skyland, and Dion. Frozen and Ferrari Nut have put a pretty decent gap over the 5th and 6th place drivers. Very good battle here for the 7th spot. Legit holding off Jacob with Stanton all over the both of them. Stanton and Jacob side by side, using that outside momentum, able to make the pass around Jacob. Stanton is up into the 8th spot, but legit likes to see that fighting going on as he's able to pull out a little bit of an advantage. Meanwhile, Skyland has not been able to run away from Dion for Dub. Dion is all over his rear bumper, going through the penultimate corner. Still, everyone's struggling to make passes right now. Frozen gonna maybe look to the inside. Nope, not gonna dive it in there. Ooh, a little bit underdrive of the entrance. A really good second half of that little complex, though. Able to make back that gap. See if she enters a little bit wide, gets the apex maybe just a little bit early, just trying to get the power down. Gonna look to his right side, not able to make that pass. That's just what's so difficult. That's just what's so difficult about this place is you can't really out-dive anybody into these corners because they're all so fast. And here we go. Frozen Toes once again going to try to use the draft. Not going to be able to make that pass. He's to the inside now. A very nice job. Ferrari maybe went a little bit high. Nice move by Frozen Toes. We'll move her into the 3rd spot. Now she needs to get as much of a gap between herself and Ferrari Nut because I believe she too is going to be on that soft tire. This will be a good time to check out let's see where we got here. Where is the tire wear? Okay, tire is still looking pretty nice on this Audi. It's going to be about lap 14, 15, 16 where we start to see him get a little bit sketchy, and then it really starts to fall off right around 18 and 19, which is where our race will end. Nothing changing up front between JC and Justin. The battle right now is between Ferrari Nut, Skyland, and Dion for that 4th spot. with the left and right, you're really trying to set up each corner, but then you end up in a bad spot. You're trying to pull across, but then even if you're able to be successful, then you're in unless you're able to get your car well alongside, then you just aren't in a good position for that next corner. Skyland getting a great run off of the final turn. That's going to allow him to look to the inside. Ferrari Nut fits in the hole behind him. Going to try the crossover. He's back alongside. An excellent job of defense. Uses his right rear a little bit to move Skyland out of the way. Ferrari able to hold on to that fourth spot. Dion watching this battle. Now Ferrari goes wide. That allows Skyland to get to his rear bumper. Some contact between him and Dion. Now Skyland back alongside. Oh, Ferrari almost moving him off the racetrack, but not quite. Now Skyland going to be able to clear him. Ferrari fits into that hole between himself and Dion for dub. And now all I am seeing is there we go. That was a scary moment. Oh, we have lost Sober David. That is why Sober David has DNF'd. That is unfortunate. Nothing changed up front. Leaf Justin is actually Oh, I say that. It looks like this lead is starting to get a little bit tight. Did JC have a mistake? I'm not sure, but Leaf Justin alongside him for the lead. So move Justin up into the first position. This is usually when we have seen JC be at his strongest in these races. But this time around, Leaf Justin able to make the pass, get around him now, going down this long straightaway through the kink into the even longer straightaway. He will have the lead as we come to 3 to go. A little bit slower down the straightaway, both in the Audis, both in the same vehicle. JC not able to get a good enough run to be able to dive bomb him into turn 1. You can see in the background, Skyland and Ferrari Nut are side by side. We'll see if we can take you to that right now while that battle has kind of calmed down at the front. A lot of jockeying for position for that 6th spot between Dion and Legit. Legit with a little bit of a slip, but able to try to make it back. And unfortunate that we have lost Sober David. And you can see a lot of tire wear on Dion. The tires starting to swing just a little bit here, but Leaf Justin still looking good. JC almost able to make a move, not quite able to get to him. Now he's going to look to his left side. Let's see what we get here with these cameras. It's like the Fox camera crew got a hold of him. They're well zoomed in. JC trying to look wide for an opportunity to cross, not able to get it. That's going to allow Justin to maintain that lead by about a car length. Justin a little bit too wide there, not able to get it down to the rumble strips. That's going to allow JC to pull right up to his rear bumper. And the last couple of times through here, JC has made up a little bit of ground out of the kink. He just seems to be a little bit quicker through the kink. Now here we go. He can't decide where to go. Looked like he was wanting to defend. JC not making a move. Both underdriving that corner just a little bit, but JC able to look to his inside, but Justin powers back around on the outside. This is the final lap here. We'll see what kind of a move we get. JC with a little bit of a slip. That gives Justin some gap. He now has a 4-car length gap back to his competition. Frozen Toes alone in the 3rd spot. It looks like JC is not going to have anything. Justin going to have a big mistake here. Not going to have it. Leafs Justin 24 gonna win. All right, so yet another glitch. That one caused by me. I apparently did not change the. I did not put a timer on that one, which is unfortunate. I thought I did, but anyways, we will get a hold of Leafs Justin, JC, and Frozen, who are able to hold on to the win there, or who are able to hold on to podium slots. Let's see here.
Yeah,
All right.
Expect
They,
that
they,
with
they
me,
held
Well-
on. They held on for.
While we're all having a post-race discussion here, let me grab the podium finishers here for, the adoring fans out there from our race. Let's see, it was Justin able to hold on to the victory there. An exciting battle between himself and JC. Talk about that battle, the final laps, and what ended up being your tire strategy there. I knew you were talking about that the whole week.
Strapped on the mediums, and once we kind of settled out there and got kind of where we were riding, I thought I remembered seeing that he was on soft, so I just tried as hard as I could to pressure him as long as I could to see if he could burn him up. I didn't know what his situation was going to be, but he had a pretty big slip up there towards the end and allowed me to get past him, and I just aggressive defense, keeping him behind me and hoping that his tires wore out enough that he wouldn't have the chance on the last lap to get to me, and it worked out.
You've been talking about needing a good qualifying run in these touring cars in this half of the league. Today, able to start on the front row. Was that the difference tonight in being able to come home with but not only a great finish, but the win?
It was a big help. I don't think that I would have done this in the previous races, even with qualifying well, but starting, second place is a lot better than starting 9th or 10th or further on back every week, so managed to get in a good lap and make it count.
Well, that is Leafs Justin getting his, I believe, second overall victory, maybe third. I think it's the second overall victory.
Second overall.
Second overall, his first in the touring cars this season. We'll head over to
First to win in both.
Yay! We'll head over to JC. Was able to come home second tonight. I'm not able to go back to back to back. Still an incredibly strong start to the season in the touring car half. Talk about your race. Was it the tires that was the difference there at the end?
No, the difference came down to a little bit of skill. I just blew it coming out of turn one and caught the rumble strip and really slowed the car up and slid. And Justin was able to get up next to me and give him credit, a solid, clean pass. Took advantage of the mistake and was able to get by. And that was pretty much it. I don't know why I insisted on going to the outside into turn one, coming to two to go, but the move was definitely to go to the inside. That seemed like the move the whole race. But pretty solid run, starting fifth, making my way up, and if I just wasn't run out of talent, might have had three in a row. But good race to Justin and Frozen.
Were you expecting this start to the season as hot as you've been? I mean, that's like a 1.33 average finish position here through 3 races in the touring car. Were you expecting that?
Yeah, no, it's super cool. No, I was not expecting it at all. I do really enjoy driving these cars, but also seem to have favorable setup as it would appear. You know, it's kind of luck of the draw. But I really like the car. Really like the cars battling on track. I think it puts on a pretty good show. We had a couple cars up there in the mix this race, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That is JC continuing his hot start to the touring cars. We'll go move over to our P3 finisher, Frozen Toes. Her second podium overall in the multi-class series, the multi-series, I should say, the multi-series series. Came home P3. Talk about your race tonight. How was it out there, and how was the car? How was the track?
Well, we had a lot of fun battles at the start between myself, Dion, and Sky. So it was fun trying to switch positions out there and make some moves. I think it cost us a little bit of time compared to the front two to try to catch them. But I mean, it was a fun race. I was on the soft tires, a bit of a risk, and I know the final 2 laps I was definitely feeling it, but really fun race. And coming out here for my first league in road courses, I'll take 2 podiums. So I'm happy with it so far.
Yep, third of your races so far have been podiums. Does that exceed your expectations, and what kind of expectations do you have going forward?
You know, if I could get a win, that'd be awesome. I definitely do not expect it. I think third is probably my best, and if I can finish these races without dying, hey, I'm happy with it. So it's been fun out here. Usually I'm in the booth, so getting to race with everyone is definitely different.
That is Frozen Toast 24, your P3 finisher. That rounds out the podium of the Touring Car Series. That rounds out all of your racing for the night. Hope y'all had a good time. We will be back next week where we'll be racing, let's see, let's pull up the old schedule here. Why not? We will be racing at Indianapolis and Mid-Ohio. So we will see y'all there. I'll catch y'all on the flip